Morning first year. This is our second lesson with decimals. Trying to take a fairly similar approach to what we did the last time, guys. So I've videoed this to try and explain what it is we're going to try and do today. Upload on YouTube. I've embedded it into your OneNote and you can see if you can try some of the problems. So again, two different sort of levels, if you like. So the sort of main learning is across here, so I expect most of you to have a go at what's on that side. However, if you're finding that a wee bit challenging, I've put some consolidation tasks over here for you to try. I'll also look at a couple of examples for them nearer the end of the video as well. You'll have noticed as well that Numeracy Ninjas is at the top. I thought it might just be easier to put it all in one place, and I've put the answers in this wee PowerPoint there for you to check when you are ready. Okay, so for our lesson today, we're looking at doing a few calculations with decimals. So we're focusing on addition or subtraction today. We're going to start working with decimals with maybe just one decimal place. We want to try and get most people up to 2 decimal places, and then there's a few with 3 decimal places as well, which is kind of maybe going to be an extra challenge. So success criteria to do it with 2 decimal places, to do it with 3 decimal places, and to look at solving a few problems in context. So again, I've put a wee reminder in there, so if some of this is too tricky, you have got the work over here which you can try as well. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 examples. I'm going to do an addition and a subtraction, and sort of talk you through the process of what we're going to do. So we're going to sort of lay these out in sort of column addition method for this first one. So example 1 says we're going to add 4.6 and 2.82. So I am going to write this out the side here, 4.6 plus 2.82. You'll notice that I've kept the decimal points in line. So in here, that is super important. We need to make sure when we're adding or subtracting decimals that we keep the decimal points in line. You'll also notice that we've kind of got a little bit of a mismatch here. So I've got this gap above the 2. So I'm going to need to add in an extra 0 in here. So if we think back to what we did the previous lesson, 4.6, so 4 units and 6 tenths, is the same as 4.60 in the sense that it's the same as 4 units plus 6 tenths plus 0 hundredths. So I'm adding on nothing there. So that's why you kind of strategy wise you're allowed to put an extra 0 in there. I'm now just going to work out this calculation. Most of you will be pretty familiar with this. I'm just going to add one column at a time. So I'm going to start at the right hand column. I'm going to do 0 plus 2, so I'm starting there. 0 plus 2 gives me 2. Next column along, 6 plus 8 is 14, so I'm going to put 1 here. I'm going to carry my 1 at the bottom there. Some of you might put it up the top, doesn't really matter too much. Pop my point in, points are in line, that's the really important part. And then last column to add, I've got 4 plus 2 plus this 1 down the bottom, which is going to give me a total of 7. So 7.42 would be the answer for that first example. I'm going to do a subtraction as well. So example 2 here says I'm going to subtract 2.7 from 18.25. So that means I've got my 18.25 on the top. I'm going to subtract 2.7 from that. Again, keeping the points in line. I'm going to need an extra 0 to match up this bit here. The same reasoning as above, I can put that in there because 2.7 is the same as 2.70. It's because we're adding on 0 hundredths in that sense. And then we're just going to do a takeaway calculation in a similar way you would do with whole numbers. So again, starting at the right hand column, so starting at this side here, I've got 5 take away 0, so that's going to give me 5. Working my way along, I can't do 2 take away 7, so I'm going to need to kind of come along and borrow, so I'm going to make that a 7, make this 12. 12 take away 7 is another 5. Stick my point in, 7 take away 2 is another 5. And then I've got this 1 here, so again that's like 1 take away nothing because there is nothing underneath, so I'm going to get 15.55. So that's essentially how we're going to do these calculations today. There's quite a lot of practice for you here, just sort of practicing the scale, and then I've got about 10 separate kind of questions. Goes up to J. J's the 10th letter in the alphabet, isn't it? So they get kind of progressively more difficult the further you go down. So you might find that you are quite happy doing the first few, but you might get to be sort of G or H or something like that, and it starts to get a little bit trickier. Alright, there's a challenge down the bottom here with my magic square. If anybody manages to complete my magic square, I want you to let me know, and I will give you a green flag. So the instructions are there, but just remember, a magic square has the same total in every row, every column, and every diagonal. Alright, so there's a couple of questions there that will try and help you guide you through it. But if you manage to complete the magic square, let me know. That will earn you a green flag. I think we should still use them even though we're doing remote learning. I've left a wee space here at the side for any workings, because you're going to need to do a few calculations, guys. So if you're kind of doing 2A, just kind of fire it across here and do your working out, if that makes sense. I'm now going to look at a few of the consolidation tasks. So if you're happy enough, then just crack on with that other work. I'm going to look at a couple of these ones just to help people who might need that little bit extra. Alright, so again, I've started off with the consolidation tasks not having any decimals, so we're just looking at some add-in questions. So again, the column addition still kind of works in that sense. So if we look at the first one here, we look at A up here, then if I work these out, so I'm going to do 8 plus 3, so that's going to give me 11. So I'll put a 1 down here, I'm carrying a 1 over, I'll pop up the top this time, doesn't really matter too much. Alright, so then you've got 1 plus this 5 is going to give me 6, and that's going to give me 61. Okay, so practice some of the addition ones here. Subtraction, a kind of similar way. I'll do one that's a little bit further down for the subtraction one. So if we have a look down here, I'll try L just as an example. So again, starting at the right hand side, starting here, we're doing 0 take away 0, so that's going to give me 0. 5 take away 6, well I can't do that because 6 is bigger, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see. So I'm going to score out the 4 and make it a 3, stick my 1 in there, so I've now got 15 take away 6, which is going to give me 9, and then I've got this 3 here. I've not got anything underneath the 3, so that's just like 3 take away 0, it's going to give me 3, and that would be 390. Alright, again, that same process actually works with decimals as well. So I'm gonna kind of put in this space here, I'm gonna make another little short video where I'll kind of take through a couple of examples similar to what we did over here before, just so you can try, and there's 10 questions, 5 add and 5 taken away, for people to at least try, so we can at least have a go at some of the decimals with that strategy. But that video will be embedded in your OneNote, and I'll put a link on the Teams for that as well. Right guys, thanks very much, bye bye.